Hey everybody, Jessica Burrell here. Welcome to episode 21 of Everyday Inspiring Women, where we sit down with women in your community and kind of get to know them a little bit better. I love doing this. It's so exciting. It's inspiring to talk to women who are just like you and me. And yet they are doing really exciting things. They have challenges just like we do. And they find a way to persevere. So I am super excited to have Catherine Cristofaro. And I was just thinking that as I said your name, like, please correct me if I am butchering it. That is my fear.
Just that last syllable, Cristofaro. That's
Cristofaro, that's it. There's no I at the end. There's no I.
It sounds pretty good.
I totally put it in there. Sorry, Catherine. So
that's okay.
Catherine is a local entrepreneur who runs her own dance studio. But it's really interesting, Catherine. I actually live across the street. Well, you know this, but I live across the street from Catherine's mother-in-law and her aunt-in-law. And when we first moved into this neighborhood, definitely your aunt, we grew a really quick friendship with her, and then she kept saying, your girls have to check out this dance studio, and my girls do dance, so it was really a really natural progression to kind of have to reach out to a local studio and someone who we actually knew. And I'm so happy to have gotten to know you better over the past 5 years.
Yeah, for sure.
So please, that's my little intro. I mean, I know there's so much more to your story. This is just how I know you, my little tidbit of how I met you. But I love it when my guests introduce themselves because, well, obviously they're going to have a much better story than I do. So tell us a little bit more about you and kind of your story and how you got here.
Okay. I grew up in gymnastics actually as a child. I reached the point of becoming competitive, and my coach said to my mom, you're going to have to get her in some dance lessons in order to improve her technique on beam and floor. Being the oldest of 6 kids, anytime that my mom had to up the ante of the level that we were participating in a recreational activity, it proved to be a challenging time for my family. We grew up on a single income. Only my father worked, and my mom raised us. And in order for me to be able to move to the next level of gymnastics and to start dancing, my mom started babysitting other people's children as well as taking care of her own 6.
Yeah, wow.
My mom would do anything. Yeah, she would do anything to make sure that we had as many opportunities she could possibly give us. After a couple of years of dancing and doing gymnastics, we realized as a family, even in our time frame, the time they had to dedicate driving us to our different activities, I was going to have to choose one or the other. And I chose dance. So after about 7 years of gymnastics, I was ready to give it all up and give this dance thing a try.
Wow.
And I only took ballet because that's all that was in our budget as a family at that time. And I developed a really close relationship with the owner of Nancy Pattison's Dance World, Nancy herself, who is now in her 80s.
Wow.
I was fortunate enough to get to have her as a teacher. She always told my mother I had so much potential, but there was only so much my family could do to enhance and harness that level that I was able to participate at.
Yeah.
So as a teenager, I started assisting many teachers as many times of the week as I could in order to take more classes at a level my family could afford.
Yeah.
By the age of 14, so in 4 years, I had expanded my training to also taking jazz and tap. Every year, I was invited to audition for their competitive team. And every year I did, knowing that I would not be able to participate even if I did make it. And every year I made it.
Yeah.
So learning to just feel good about what you're doing within your means and really taking advantage of every aspect of that opportunity is how I grew up.
Yeah.
Because I was good enough to keep up with the special elite 30 dancers.
Right.
But it wasn't in the cards for me.
Yeah.
So I grew up that way at that studio until I was 18, and I left for the Royal Winnipeg Ballet, where I trained in the professional division and the teachers division. When I came home, I had a job opportunity at Nancy Patterson's. I was working there full time.
Awesome.
And I had the opportunity to coach their competitive team. I was the artistic director of their performing company, and had a great time and learned so many life lessons and lessons as a dancer and educator.
Yeah.
But then I hit a point where I felt like there was so much in me to give, and without going out on my own and exploring options, I felt a little stunted in my artistic development and what I'd be able to give to children and people who maybe were growing up a lot like me. I felt that there was sometimes a whole demographic of students in a studio that get overlooked, and I really wanted to give back. I didn't know how or what I was going to do. I moved to Amherstburg. I got married. I started teaching private lessons at the old Amherstburg Arena, which is now no longer, on Victoria. I did not register anything. One private lesson led to semi-private lessons. Semi-private lessons turned into classes because I always wanted to give people the best bang for their buck, and I knew that private lessons was a more expensive way of training. So before I knew it, people were requesting to group their private lessons into classes. And then parents were asking to see a demonstration to see how their kids were progressing. So there's a naturally occurring dance recital.
Yeah.
So one thing led to another, and I had a studio and had no intentions of doing that in that timeline, but that's how it all worked out. And then here I am now. I'm now sharing the business with 3 other partners, and we've decided to rebrand and rename, so it's now Rivertown Dance Academy.
Awesome.
So that's the business progression.
Yeah. And I want to get into that too. I'm kind of like, I think it's interesting for me, the story, like going back a little bit around you, like your gymnastics teacher going, you know what, you need to be dancing a little bit more. And then you're like, you know what, I think I like dance like a little bit better. I want to pursue that. Like, do you remember that being a hard decision? Like being so ingrained in doing the gymnastics and then really making that switch? Do you remember that?
I do. It was very stressful. On one hand, I had my father who was always telling me, you've committed to this, you're good at it, why would you stop? And then my mom saying, follow your heart, you're young, you never know where this could take you, and do what you feel is best in your heart and try not to stress about it. Mm-hmm. And I think her encouragement at the human level, not so much professional and competitive, it just helped me just go with the flow. And if I didn't like the switch, I could always go back to it. And I think that is a really great way of looking at life, that don't be afraid to try new things, because you can always go back. Mm-hmm. And pick up where you left off, especially in the arts and sports. I think a lot of kids are under stress. I think parents put them under a lot of stress sometimes to pursue things in a way maybe they didn't intend to do it.
Yeah. Oh, I love your mother's advice. I got choked up, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm like, it's so important. Like we get stuck, and I agree with you. I agree with your dad too, going like, you stuck, we gotta see things through, but like you have to follow your heart. Oh, so good. That's beautiful, actually. I love it. Okay, so yeah, so fast forward now. Were you the sole proprietor of Cat's Meow, and now you're in a partnership? Is that how that's transformed for you?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. I think I hit a point that you know, looking back at my girls, everyone comments on how they're so compatible with my situation and with my life. They're always accepting of eating dinners at the studio 5 days a week, doing their homework on the office computer because we're not going to make it home before 9.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome that I've taught them to be so resilient and patient, tolerant,
flexible.
However, there is more to life, and I needed to make a change. And it wasn't going to be shutting down, because there's over 400 dancing families that consider that place home.
Yes.
So I spoke with about 4 or 5 people that were currently with me at the studio that I really valued their teamwork, their professional credentials, and how long they've been a part of my dancing life and my family's life. And it really wasn't long, maybe a month or so, before everyone had stepped forward and said, let's do this. I only thought it was fair to rename and rebrand. This has been a big hot topic in the town and surrounding dance communities, because the Cat's Meal was my legacy and something I built.
Yeah. And
not that the values are going to change, and our mission statement is very similar to what it was before. Humans first, dancers second. We're going to continue that, but I want everyone to have the opportunity to stand behind the name and to be a part of something new, and not be walking in the shadows of something that everyone ties my name with. So I just thought, I'm not afraid. This is a new name. There's a story behind it, a lot of history and things that are a huge part of the new business coming forward.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. It wasn't the name anyway. It was what we did and how we taught and how we loved and the teamwork involved.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that.
That is awesome. And you know what? And like, we kind of saw, the changes, but I think knowing that story behind it is beautiful. And I think it's such a great example to say, you know what? Yeah, I could keep doing this. I could keep burning out. I could keep being at the studio with the girls till 9 o'clock at night, or I can choose another way.
Yes.
Yeah. That's really good.
And I'm hoping to, prove to myself mostly that this change is okay, and not being there every day of the week is not going to change anything. There's others that are now equally as invested, equally as committed, and they want to see everything succeed in all ways, and artistically, financially, as I do. Therefore, when I'm not there, I'm not there. And it's going to be a practice of mine that will improve over time. Even today, I'm thinking about the weeds that could be pulled, or, the dusting that should be done on top of the shelves, and like all the little things I've always just worried about on my own. Now it's not just me. And when I'm not there, I'm not there. And I love that. And I'm getting better at it as time passes.
Well, and I feel like the challenge might come in September, right? Like once dance season
Absolutely.
Really is like revving up again.
Yes, customer service is actually one of my favorite places to be besides the classroom. I love mentoring, helping parents really fine-tune something for their children, to make sure that they're doing we're never going to make perfect decisions, but the best decisions for their children. Ballet versus hip hop, or why ballet in the first place, or should I proceed with taking exams? All of the benefits and maybe sometimes sacrifices that are necessary in the dance world, they all teach life lessons at the end of the day, and I love being a part of those. So this year will be mostly about me getting back into the classroom, which is what I fell in love with this whole dancing business in the first place. And then still taking the time for the excellent customer service and paying attention to those little details that make one's day. So I will not change that.
It's awesome. So one of the questions I love talking, well, one of the topics I really like is around self-care. So like this feels like it's a form of self-care. And I mean, please correct me if I'm on the wrong path, but I think too, it's for your girls, but for you as well. And, you know, how does that feel for you in terms of self-care?
Yeah. Yeah, because I've been living quite selflessly in order to get things to be what they need to be. So now, if my phone's buzzing with either emails or even other teachers who have questions, if I know deep down inside that it can wait, it has to wait. I have to take care of my home, take care of myself, because those things bring me just as much joy as seeing the business succeed. And I've been keeping myself, my home, my husband, my children on the back burner. And although I am very grateful for their tolerance, their patience, their acceptance and support, you shouldn't have to live like that all the time with somebody, I don't think. I don't want my relationship with my husband to be one of acceptance and tolerance. I would prefer to grow, you know, now we're approaching 40, the next half of our lives together, hopefully, being one of sharing and communication and not a business. My home, although we do as much as we can as a family, my home ran as a business as well. There was to-do lists, there were emails, there were, we never just lived. And I think we just need to set aside time to live. Schedules are great, especially when you're super busy like I was. But I need to just wake up on some days and say, what are we going to do today? Instead of, we're doing this at this time and that at this time, and everybody's lunches are packed and everybody's dinners are in the freezer. They'll thaw out so you can microwave them when you eat them later. Like it was overkill for scheduling. And I think sometimes you get high on that. You get high on the fact that you nailed it all. Everybody was fed, everyone's clothes are folded, but at what cost? And I felt that everyone in my family, although there was success, there was a lot of sacrificing and just too much. And I don't think that's good for anyone's health either. I could feel myself slipping. Even sometimes I would look in the mirror and think, who are you even? Because it was like being a robot with roots. And, you know, little things. My husband's been very supportive over the past couple months. The things he wants to see me commit to are get your hair done once a month, like a blowout or something, and get a massage once a month. We have coverage. I don't use it. He wants to see me improve my self-care so that I'm even more open to being comfortable with him and not always feeling gross and unkept and stressed out and 5-minute showers at 1 o'clock in the morning. And he wasn't proud of that part of me and my growth as a human being. You know, that part made him sad.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that so much. And, you know, and it's so funny, like, we can like rag on our husbands and stuff, but they just want us to be happy. Like that's what they want. Yeah. Oh, I could cry. That's awesome. Yeah. Because it's true. And it's like, we don't give them that enough credit sometimes. And it's like, you know, like, oh, they give me a hard time or they do this, but it's like, they want us to take care of ourselves and to be happy.
They really do.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So what else feels like self-care for you? So I love the idea of a blowout and all that stuff. Does that feel like your self-care, or what else would you say?
I'll be honest, right now, doing those things for myself, still, it feels annoying. Like, like, oh my gosh, I have to be there in 15 minutes and I'm going to be sitting still for like an hour and a half and I still have this to do and that to do. Like, I still have some mindset issues to get past to really be present during those self-care moments. But little things like even what I'm putting into my body, I am obsessed with wine. That's my treat. That is my weakness. And I will continue to enjoy that part of my life, hopefully even more. But really making sure that the foods agree with my institution. Like when I look at something and I know it's going to upset me or I'm going to feel like crap after, I've developed really good self-control in that sense. And I think that has given me the energy to get through this past season of dance and business, knowing what I was about to do and needing every ounce of my being and every fiber in my muscles to like really push through. I don't mean to plug in another business, but USANA, I'm telling you right now, has changed me. I have removed myself off of 2 medications I've been on for nearly 5 years.
Good for you.
Because oh yes, one of the things that I'm not shy to talk about is I do have Crohn's. So the stress, not eating during proper times of the day, and not sleeping well and all of those things, they made me pretty sick. I had to go on steroid therapy a couple times. There's a lot of things that people don't really know about business owners, I think, and especially their health, because they always have to make it look like they've got it together, or they feel like they look weak. I think trials and tribulations with health, I think if anything kind of, it shows their resilience and their strength to be grateful for, yes, they have these challenges with their health, but they're so grateful and they're so happy with what they're achieving in life that they keep going. I know plenty of people. I suffered from migraines so severe that I had visual disturbances that caused me to lose sight in my eyes occasionally. There's been so many things, and I was medicated for both of those health issues. And ever since getting on a healthy supplement program and making sure that I'm eating breakfast is so important. Even if it's a power-packed shake full of protein and, healthy glycemic index, to prevent me from snacking and eating like crap later in the day, I've completely transformed my life in that way. And now I'm unmedicated for both of those issues. And on top of that, I can't remember the last time I've ever been on an antibiotic, and you would think that someone run down under all this stress, going through all of these changes, would be even more sick, but I've been doing so well. And I credit my supplements because the food we eat sometimes is not so good, doesn't have very much nutritional value, and it doesn't prevent a lot of the diseases that are going to come our way sometimes as we age. And I'm just thrilled to kind of, that was the first step, I think, when I realized like, wow, you've got to, take care of yourself. You're not well. And just finding something that works for you, but that you can keep up on a daily basis is so important.
I agree.
There's a lot of fun things going on. So much fads, so many people creating poor self-images. Their children are learning them too. When they're not just happy with who they are. If you know you want to get into better shape, then just do it. Don't tell your kids you hate your body. Don't tell your kids that mommy's miserable and always has headaches. Just make changes so they see you making positive changes, but you don't have to tell them, that you don't love yourself. Or I think that I see a lot of that in the dance studio, unfortunately. And, I always just encourage people to, you're beautiful. If you want to make yourself even more beautiful, then do something about it. But creating a healthy image or self-image for my girls is so important to me too. I don't want them to feel like they need to be rats on a wheel to be rewarded and think that they've achieved something just because they're crazy. I feel like sometimes I get to that point. Like, yay, go me. I did, 1,200 things today, but really how much of it really made me happy or my kids happy? And
well, it's this glorification.
It's been like a huge pleasure.
Yeah. It's this glorification of busy that we have in our society where it's like, oh, how are you? Busy. And I'm like, I've committed probably. Yeah. No, really, how are you? And it's like, I strive, my goal is to not use that word as much as possible. Sometimes it's like, legit, I'm busy. There is no other word, and that's okay. I have a friend who says, I'm very full. I have lots, because I'm busy with things I'm choosing to do. So it's not like it's a default reaction. It's a proactive, I'm designing my life this way versus reacting to my life. But
absolutely,
it's full. So how can we say, how are you, and not respond busy, saying I'm busy?
Absolutely, that is challenging. And I do agree with you. There's even some things I see on Facebook, people list like had a great day today, woke up, did this, did dinner for the next 3 days. I did all the laundry and put the kids' clothes away. And that's not a person's being. That's not a feeling. That was a to-do list, and congratulations,
Yeah.
My greatest achievements to me are what I achieve serving others. I feel like I've realized that's kind of a vocation of mine. That's where I find the most joy, whether it's helping a dancer get on her box and her first pair of point shoes, and maybe seeing a dancer do split leaps with straight knees and pointed toes. Those moments, to me, that's what I feel great about. The everyday stuff, I love seeing my kids laughing, to know that I've provided either an activity or something around here to get them to be together and smiling as sisters. My husband enjoying a great meal, all things that I've provided and or a service I've given to someone else. That's where I find the most joy. And I just that's just the way my life is going to be. The more I give, the better I feel. But it's not going to be at the sacrifice and detriment of myself or my family anymore.
Oh, that's good. I write that shit down and post it up somewhere, because I like that last attitude. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I like to talk about, now you're kind of coming up to where you're to this point in your life. I think I noticed themes kind of popping up for me. I don't know if you experienced that. But what is coming up for you right now, or what do you have on the horizon? So what's this next year going to be like for you?
Okay. Well, I just got my official studio schedule, and definitely less hours, which is amazing. I am actually diving into a little bit of a new project. It stemmed from working with the dementia and Alzheimer's residents in memory care at Seasons. I was approached just over a year ago to volunteer there for 5 weeks. And I taught every Friday 1-hour classes. And after that, my 5 weeks was approaching an end, and I thought to myself, I cannot imagine not doing this anymore. So I had a meeting with the director of Seasons. I pitched the idea after doing some research, and even I had a student at the time doing a study on what I was doing. She's becoming a doctor in Toronto.
Love that.
And we realized the true benefits that dancing and music has on dementia and Alzheimer's. So I talked to her about the importance. I gave her some key points, such as it improving their muscle memory, it improving their equilibrium and their balance. So people will say, I can't dance because I get dizzy, or I can't dance because I have bad balance, or I can never remember the moves. Dancing and music creates a safe place for people to improve those challenges and obstacles in their everyday life. I was doing some research earlier today, because I'm putting together a brochure about this new project, and it can actually cause different muscle reactions in their brain, which can trigger deep-rooted memories because of a part of the phrasing in the music, or a move, or something that I said to them during class. So if I can even open up their minds, give them a break, and or improve their state of being and have them remember certain things, I want to be a part of that. So when I presented all of this to the director at Seasons, she said, well, I can see you're very serious about this. And I said, absolutely. And she said, well, how much would it be? and they agreed to start paying me. And then they hired me to go there twice a week.
Awesome.
So I was there twice a week. The employees at Seasons have been recording and taking pictures since I started. And the days that I go there, their afternoons and early evenings are much more relaxed. They've seen behavioral changes, positive changes, sleep habits improving, and actually healthier eating habits on the days that they get the exercise with me.
Wow.
So, yeah, and the most mind-blowing thing to me is they have actually improved. And employees and family members who have witnessed my classes have seen them improve. Their moves, it's like teaching a child to dance. When you say, good job, that was better than last week. Well, I can say that until I'm blue in the face, but reality is that these students of mine don't remember my name, and I've been there for over a year. They don't know that they are improving. And to me, that's the most humble and cleansing class that I teach every week, because every week I see it and they don't even realize it. I've had people moved to tears watching them participate and smile and hold hands with me. And I even set up a ballet bar with chairs from the dining room so that they can hold onto the bar and work on their balance properly. I had the opportunity to take this sample class to the Active and Aging Seniors Expo that they had at the Libro Center recently. And I received permission from 3 families to take 3 memory care residents on site with me to do a sample class. And from that opportunity, there's been organizations and other nursing homes reaching out to me, different societies, the Parkinson's Society, there's a cancer rehabilitation clinic as well. There's a lot of people that would like me to custom design programs for their residents and or people that are overcoming therapy in those different institutions. So now I'm kind of looking at potentially developing a whole new business plan. However, this business plan would give me some flexibility to continue to grow as a professional, improve certifications. There's a couple online courses I'm going to dive into once the kids go back to school. And I feel like I'm growing on a whole new personal level with my teaching. There's a lot of dancers and families that as soon as they're paying for a service, there's a level of entitlement that comes, which I'm okay with. I mean, my kids have been involved in other programs and lessons as well. And we all expect a certain level of professionalism and compassion, when people are dealing with our children. And when we deal with other people's children, we respect that as well. But this is a whole other realm of parts of our community, levels of existence that are not being, there's not enough time spent with them.
No.
And this is such a healthy way to do it. I've also started working at Harmony in Action, which is a special daycare system provided for ages 19 to 60 that have mental and physical disabilities. So this one class that I've been teaching for the past month has about 25 participants, and I would say 50% of them are in wheelchairs. And I've been able to custom design a program for them to keep them engaged. Some of them are very high on the autism spectrum. I have to respect and honor all of their challenges while running an hour-long dance class.
Yeah.
And making sure that throughout that class, each one of them has left feeling like, they were a part of what I was giving. So it was challenging at first, but I've been successful, I feel like, in doing it, because when I leave there, I feel like I really did make a difference. It makes me emotional sometimes when I'm finishing class. I do cry on my way to my car. It makes you realize that no matter what you're dealing with your children, there are people out there that they've sacrificed their whole lives and their well-being and their sanity at times, I'm sure, to make sure that their special needs children from ages You know, from a baby right up until they're senior citizens, they have to be cared for. And here I am given the privilege to teach them, and it's just mind-blowing. And this all stemmed from the amazing opportunity I was given at Seasons. So now I'm affiliated with a behavioral science coach and home instead senior care. I've had some great mentors pop up for me that I think are going to help me take my professional education with dance to a whole new level, and I'm so excited.
That's awesome. I remember when I was seeing you first post about it, I thought, what a beautiful thing to do. And you're so right. It's such an underserved segment of our humanity, and it's
Population.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I was getting choked up again. You're hitting me in all my feels today. That's awesome. And I like how you're really real about it, saying, you know, like, it is humbling. I can imagine it snaps you back into reality so quickly, going, so much of what we stress and worry about, it doesn't even matter.
No, and because of what I've been exposed to, it's really helped me put anything that I think is a big deal into perspective. Whether it's a disagreement I have with my husband and I think, oh my gosh, this is the worst fight ever. With my girls, when I'm stressed out, I don't get why they're not doing their chores without being prompted. Little things like that. I mean, it really, in the grand scheme of things, we are here to help each other grow. And even an argument between two people who love each other, it may seem like a bad thing, but from that argument is going to be a resolution and a lesson. So just really, I've been in a really great mindset to really accept that moment, but realize there will be growth from it, as most challenging, sticky, sad, angry situations are. Yeah. There's always going to be that uncomfortable to get to the comfortable. And that's been my biggest life lesson this year.
Yeah. Moving through that discomfort, moving through it to get to the other side instead of like avoiding it or trying to not deal with it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. That's awesome. I love that, like, it feels like community to me. Like, I'm really obsessed with community and bringing people together. And I imagine, and I'm guessing, like, I've read a lot of articles and watched a lot of things around, as we age, like, we need community. It's like fundamental to have that physical conversation and a physical be like other people around you. So what does community mean to you? Like, what would you say, like, how do you feel about what does community mean to you, and how do you cultivate that for yourself too?
Yeah. So community to me is first being okay with yourself. I feel like when you're happy with your being inside and out, you naturally welcome people into your village. Because I think I've always been pretty comfortable with who I was, good, bad, and ugly, I speak very candidly and honestly with people. So they naturally get invited into what I consider community is kind of like my village.
Yeah.
That means to me, more than anything, I feel like as a community and as the village that you create for your existence, if at any time, even if I haven't seen, for example, my community is my dance community, right? And I've built amazing friendships. I find that as part of my dance community in my village, any mom, just because I'm a business owner, should be able to say to me, as part of their community, part of their family and their village, would you mind being able to bring so-and-so home from dance tonight? Or sending me a text or a message on Facebook and saying, I forgot to give her a lunch. Would you mind spotting her? I'll pay you back later. Just having each other's backs and feeling comfortable enough to give and receive assistance.
Mm-hmm.
That's what will keep your community working together and trusting each other and believing in what we're all bringing to the table. You should never feel like you can't ask for help. Sometimes we think asking for help again is a sign of weakness and not having it together. But when you give, you shall receive, really. And if you feel like you're giving too much in one direction, there's probably a reason for that. Those people might really need it. There's limits, obviously, on every type of giving. And you don't want to be abused or used for your kindness. That's what I've done, is not being afraid to ask and really realizing I'm on the same level as everyone else. Just because, I'm an entrepreneur and I've met and engaged with thousands and thousands of dancers and families over the past 20 years. Yeah, that's a long time. I just feel like staying true to just your being and your soul, not being afraid to ask for help and not being afraid to help. A lot of people are uncomfortable with that too. I find like there might be people that say, would you be able to do this? And it's like, oh gosh, that'd be weird. No, just help, just be there, take a chance. That's what's kept me and my community and my village. When it comes to the town of Amherstburg, they'll reach out to me. Can you help with this? Can you help organize this? Absolutely. Give, give, give. And you know what? At the same time, they're equally as supportive of what I do.
Yeah.
So there's your town. There's doctors' offices. There's all the people that are of service to us, just to be equally as kind and helpful to them. If you see someone with a heavy load, they're carrying a bunch of bags or groceries, a lot of people will just see that person struggle and then turn a blind eye. But I think everybody really does want to help people. They're just so afraid of it being uncomfortable. And I just find that choosing to see that struggle and choosing to help is always the best choice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what has kept me close with my community and my village and never feeling alone, because I choose not to be.
Yes.
So,
yeah, awesome. Yeah, and I think it's this thing that we have to be comfortable with receiving. Like how can you practice receiving and just saying thank you, and that's it, and just accepting and receiving.
Please and thank you. Please and thank you.
That's it. Simple.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you have, I was thinking, I love, like, as we wrap up, I love books or motivational quotes. And I was wondering if you have a favorite book that you've read that you lean on, or a particular quote that you like, or you'll use and you'll be like, oh, okay, that helps ground me every time I think about it.
Mm-hmm. Back when I was a young adult, I read a book called The 4 Agreements.
That's
Have you seen it? Sure.
Oh yeah, like Miguel. I'm trying to think of his last name. His last name's escaping me, but yes, carry on.
Yeah. Okay, so that book is what changed me for the rest of my life, I think. I still have it in my living room. I revisit it on occasion. I'll be honest, I really do look to sometimes Facebook and Instagram. Like I'll scroll and scroll and scroll, all these happy pictures. It's so good. But quotes, I find reading, even if it's just a 2 or 3 minute commitment to reading something a person has posted, it really teaches you more than you think. And I personally don't understand how people can't stop when someone shares literature about their feelings or about how they feel towards something, to give that just as much respect as hearts or comments on a picture. Words are very healing to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think something that's made me quite strong too. I did not have a very easy upbringing in childhood. It's something I do keep a little bit more personal, but just to say it was not a walk in the park.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot about being independent and being in charge of your own happiness. I always, when I'm struggling with maybe feelings of self-pity or how it would be so much easier to stay in bed all day, I would rather stay in bed happy. And I get into a different mindset. Like no matter how good or bad your life is, you know, wake up each day being grateful for what you have. And that's just a mantra. I'm not perfect at that. Being grateful for everything you do have.
Yeah.
And realizing that there's someone out there somewhere that is just struggling to survive. So when you think your life, you know, has hit rock bottom or it's such a bad day for whatever reason, I go there. I force myself to think about the different situations others might be in that are so much more worse off, and they're literally struggling to survive.
Yeah.
And it seems a little bit dramatic, but it works for me to go there. Yeah.
Totally. I agree.
And yeah.
Oh, thank you. Catherine, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk to me today. I appreciate everything that you shared with us. And if people want to get in touch with you about all the multiple things that you're opening up right now, how could they? What's the best way for them to do it? And I'll include it in the show notes too. So, but it's nice to hear.
Probably through Messenger.
Like through Facebook
on
Messenger?
Facebook, yeah, through Messenger.
Okay. All right, perfect.
I mean, it's my name. It's my name. It's easy to search, Catherine Cristofaro. Getting involved in the dance studio would be Rivertown Dance Academy. And I sent you our logo if you wanted to, you know, just crop that and throw that out there if you want for dancing purposes. I'm really excited to bring the new studio into, you know, a whole other decade of even more success now that there's a bigger team of us willing to take on the load, you know, and share our knowledge and credentials and happiness of dance and all of that good stuff. So I'm excited to where the studio's headed, but also realized I need to grow as a human being too. So I'm going to tie it all in together and continue to inspire even the kids with some of these ventures I have coming up. I think some of the students at the studio could benefit from being exposed to some of the new work I'm doing.
Yes, agreed.
So yeah, I'm really excited to getting them to work hand in hand.
Yeah, that's awesome. I cannot wait to see what the next year brings for you. I'm super excited. It's awesome.
I know.
Yay!
Yeah, well, thank you so much for speaking with me, and it was awesome.
Awesome. All right.
I think you're equally as amazing, and you've inspired me very much as well. So,
thank you. It's a love fest going on in here. All right. You have a good day. We'll talk soon, okay?
Sounds good.
Thanks.
See you later, Jeff.
Bye.
Bye.